in the club for fishing every day. Fishinfrank. You say you want to kiss.
Hey, boys and girls. It is an interesting day. And I just had three guys who were in from Ohio. And they were talking about, and the guys are complaining, oh, the show's too long, the fishing report.
Okay.
And he said, but if you didn't do all the other stuff, it'd be boring if you just talked about the fish. He says, my buddy said, oh, this is too long, I don't want to watch it. And the guy's like, well, isn't it, do you enjoy it? Oh, yeah, I love it. Okay. I'm like, all right, now, I don't know how to make it short and interesting, or I can do it the way we do it and make it interesting, but it comes out whatever length it is. We don't have scripted shows yet. We will be entering into the world of scripted shows pretty soon, but we go around and talk about spots. If there's something there, we do it. But this is the same argument Josh and I have had since the beginning. Now, mind you, Josh does a 2-hour radio program.
I do.
But that's not too long.
That's not too long.
But a 2-hour or an hour and a half YouTube
is way too long.
Too long.
It's way too long.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I don't care. Going to do it the way we've been doing it since 2009 or I think 2009, 2010, something when we first started doing these. And they were just audio recordings back then.
Well, and I never felt the audio recording was too long. The visual recording is different. And to me,
is it because they have to look at you?
No, it's because I have...
No? What else could it be?
It's because I have to look at the screen. If I've got something that's on video, I'm looking at the screen the whole time. I can't just look away from it because I feel like I might miss something. Where if it's audio, I can do something else at the same time. It's a viewership issue.
First of all, I'm being emotional here.
Yeah. Got a safe space over there in the corner.
Don't you think it's kind of just looking at Josh that makes people crazy?
Maybe.
I'm not saying that it's not.
I don't know.
I have no argument that it isn't.
With a face like this, the lucky thing is I get to blame him. All right. Anyway, we've got a fishing report today.
That is why we're here. The place-by-place fishing report.
The store is so busy, it's beyond belief.
Even though I just saw on Facebook somebody thought it was closed.
Yeah. Well, there's no sign up front. What's really weird, we haven't moved the door anywhere. The door is still where the door is. And we had one day we didn't have a door, and you had to go around back and use the back door because the front door is closed because they were replacing it. They're remodeling the building. Well, days ago, they said, we're going to paint the front of the building here, so we got to take your sign down. And so...
Have they painted it yet?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
And there's no sign. And Robert put a little cardboard box, and it says Fishin' Franks on it. And people walking by, that I saw the guy walked completely past the store, and his wife said, she said, oh, look, it's this one. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You look at the door, you see all the rods and reels and lures. And
I know how to fix this, okay? We have the Fishin' Franks Fishing Club banner. Yeah, all we need to do is hang that up right there, and then boom, pow, everybody will know. Yeah. They'll see Pretty Frank, and they'll know which door they're supposed to go in.
It just kills me.
You know, Pretty Frank. There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Beautiful.
So, anyway, it's just fun. The world's a crazy place, but we're jammed in the store. It is all through the cold and rain and all the weird weather. So slow, just not much. And then Florida runs on sunshine. Florida's like, I don't know what high octane gas is, 90 or something like that. But anyway.
91 usually.
So.
There's also 93.
We're on high octane gas. The sun came out. The store is mobbed. We're having fun. We've got extra people on every shift. So great fun. You want to start?
Sure. It's been an unusual week because we had that front hit Monday night with a lot of rain and a whole lot of wind. And then Tuesday was cold with a lot of wind. Wednesday was cold with less wind. Thursday, nice, but still the same amount of wind. And today it's starting to really lay down.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
there's some places that there's definitely nothing for reports.
right
Like
now
offshore.
we got 6 people working at the
just zip
store.
right through that.
That's why we can be over here. If we had, you got to have 5 people on duty right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's a lot of fun.
And yeah, not every tackle shop has 5 people on duty, but when you run a tackle shop the way Frank and Robert run theirs, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we got 6, so we got extra coverage.
Yeah.
Try to do our best.
We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, been some really, really great people this year.
We Robert came up and said, "How do you put the hitchhiker rig on this? You know, the trailer?" And I'm like, "Well, I need air hose and this and that." And he's like looking at me like, "What?" It's been so long. It's probably been at least 10 years since I've rigged somebody up like that.
Yeah, but it's probably been closer to 20 for me since I've seen you do it. So it was like my brain completely like went blank on it.
The guy was flabbergasted. He was like, "That from a piece of air hose? Okay,
Yeah.
we got it.
Yeah.
Works out perfectly." Robert found the right hooks, and boom, 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 we got it all together.
Yeah.
Interesting. But when you're trolling for king mackerel, and the guys are out there trolling for it, hopefully we'll get into that in the Gulf section. When you have real long bucktails off of it and then a teaser trail on it, they tend to short strike. So you've got to add an extra hook off the back of the first hook.
If only we could do a video where we could show people how to rig that up.
If only we had that. But all our video equipment is sitting out there on a table waiting for you to put it in the case. Because we have great video camera VCR thing. And
All right, let's beam Frank in there. I think we got his... There we go.
guess who has the Cabo emotional support reel?
Oh, no, I'm so upset.
That was hidden, and I have it in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably sterilized from last week.
Yes, I did sterilize it, put it in the sun, used extra Clorox. But we have the Quantum Cabo emotional support reel.
And the emotional support Coke Zero, which is in the shot. So.
Okay, I'll get the Coke Zero out of there.
Thank you.
We have, well, I'm diabetic. I can't have
It's okay.
regular Coke. I have to have Coke Zero.
We're not complaining about the Coke Zero.
You're not complaining about my
want it in
diabetes or
the
my
shot.
skin cancer or any of the other stuff.
No, these are all things that we have accepted and found normal about you. So, all right, let's get this party started. Peace River, Harbor Heights, Shell
going
Creek.
from
that
about
kind of
Harbor
area.
Heights up. Any
How high
reports,
up
Robert?
do you want to go?
That's
A
nice.
lot of little snook being caught up there. Not very many. I've only heard of one legal snook up there in the last, well, basically since it opened.
Yeah.
But a lot of the medium size. I mean, the one guy actually that just bought the rod, the window guy that's working on the place.
Right.
He's fishing a lot up there, and he's catching a lot of like 22 to 26 inch fish. Anyone going up there with white bait is catching the little peanuts from 15 inches to 20 inches. Several other guys getting them up towards Shell Creek, all smaller guys. But the main thing is I'm hearing of a lot of juvenile tarpon, a few adult tarpon being hooked. But redfish have been the main thing that I've been hearing about, and a couple of whiting and a couple of trout. But the redfish have been from basically 75 all the way up to as far as the power lines.
Yeah, where the power lines go across, you got this outside deep bend. You've got right on each side of the power line, there's big poles, and they have cables coming out and anchors all the way around them. And right now there's catfish and redfish around those pilings. And then coming down on this deeper bend, there's real narrow right here, and then there's a deeper bend. On the outside of that, you've got some snook laying in there. If you go up and you come up here to the Sanssouci trestle, and this is the old railroad trestle built in the late 1800s sometimes. It was after 1850, but before 1900, so somewhere in that range. But the trestle, you've got snook. We've seen redfish up here, mangrove snappers. It's not great fishing, even though it sounds like it, but it is good Fishing is good. Great would be a strong word, but good is not bad. If you come under the bridge, and Josh, I want to follow this creek around to 17. Come under the bridge, go to the right. This is all slow no wake around in front of the houses. As we come up around here and going up, there's a little bit of fishing on this curve, but not as much. Now, we're coming up, we're going here. Now, as you come in front of the trailer park, you're going to see this is Highway 17. You've got 7.5, 8 foot of clearance, the same as the trestle. If you've got a T-top on your boat, you're probably not getting in there. But when you come past here and you go up, this stretch right here is where I wanted to get to. There is some deep water here, and this is where those tarpon are going to hang out. If here's Highway 17, you got the two bridges on 17, north and south, east and west, whatever they are. And as you come around, but this section here, you got a lot of deep water. Let's go one more bend. Yeah. Okay. So this is all real shallow. You've got a little bit of fish down here around the docks, and you get up in here, you've got a short section where you can find some fish. But coming back down here, this is the section where if you're looking for these wintertime tarpon, this is where you're going to want to look. And it's just past 17. We can go back to the river if you would.
It's too late for wintertime tarpon, Frank. Today is the vernal equinox. So
Yeah,
it's
I
spring.
know. The what equinox?
The vernal equinox.
What does Vern have to do with anything? Last time I talked to him, he couldn't tell what day it was.
Yeah, but he knows when it's spring.
Okay.
He makes it official.
Go on up. All right. Right here, we've got some pretty good red fishing right here. Now,
give me a technique.
Okay, here it's basically split shot, sinkers, you got redfish. This is like 12 feet of water or more. This is a real deep hole right out here. This is the first settlement between Arcadia and Punta Gorda. This is Liverpool. Started 1848, 1849. By 1850, they had run the railroad track down, and they were hauling phosphate out of here. And they would take it back up, go around. We'll show you that route one day. But this is a very, very deep hole. And if you go ahead and give me a little more down by, almost down to Harbor Heights, keep that in there. Okay, that's good. Now, as you're coming from Harbor Heights, you're going to, you come up and you go to the left. You got right is Hunter Creek. It will take you there, but Hunter Creek is slow, no wake. That's all slow, no wake. You can run 25 miles an hour here on this section of the river. Nice deep water coming up, go through the Narrows. And as you get up to Island 33 up here, this is the Rookery Islands. This is where you see all the birds nesting. And that'll happen in about a month. But getting from here to this side, if you've got a bigger boat, just go dead slow idle and idle across this a little closer to the island. If it gets too shallow, you got to back up, come around this side. Now, you will go around coming around this side of the island, but it's real silty mud. There's a sandbar that's here and kind of evacuated down to here, but there is one right about here. If you come up, you'd feel that's too shallow because this is sand gravel. If you come back and come around here, you will go around from here to here, but you've probably got 1.5 feet, 2 foot of water and 3 or 4 feet of silt. So you can easily idle through that loose mud. It's not even mud, it's just black, nasty stuff. But you can get any boat through that. And then go up, and when you hit the T part of it, right here, you come up and you can see the river going this way, but the big section, you're going to come off to the right here and come down here to Liverpool. And this used to be great fishing because it had big docks where the phosphate boats, they used to take phosphate right out of the river itself back in the 1800s. And everybody goes, oh, we don't want them to mine phosphate. I like vegetables. I like corn. I like bread. I like wheat. You have to have phosphate. Now, I don't want them to take the phosphate mines out and away. I just want them to do it more responsibly because we need mining minerals, all this kind of stuff. That's how civilizations work. I get a kick out of people who think, oh, we're going to all eat off somebody's free-range backyard chickens. No, you need factories, you need that, because there's 330 million people in the U.S. that 600 million pounds of food a day. 600 million pounds. We need fertilizer. We need phosphate. We need them to do it more responsibly, but not stop doing it. That's just lazy thinking. So anyway, Liverpool right here, when you're there fishing, check out, you'll see some brick pyramids on the shoreline.
And that's where the Cavern Club was, where the Beatles used to play?
Yes, this is where the Beatles used to play, yes.
Liverpool.
But when you see them, they're little brick pyramids, and that was the inside of the dock. The outside was attached to the pilings. The inside sat on these little brick abutments. And that's still from the 1850s, believe it or not. And back along here, there's some old foundations and stuff. But it used to be a 2-story building and 2,000 people working there. Anyway, going back down to I-75, just thought I'd throw in a couple of spots.
Right. Oh,
Okay,
it's all good.
cool. Hey, so much for the shorter reports. We're
You want the shorter report. I don't
16
care.
minutes in, and that's the first spot. So
I say I talk about what I want to talk about.
we've noticed.
They're getting redfish and snook right there around the 75, and mostly on the north end around the sawgrass, and a little bit in the evening on the snook around the bunk in the middle.
Yeah, been here.
Haven't
Afternoon,
heard.
evening bite is going to be pretty good here. But if you're there earlier in the day, try the pilings around here. They're actually doing pretty good.
I haven't
But
heard of the
real
jacks
deep.
at all this week. Have you?
No, haven't heard a thing about the jacks.
Yeah, because they've been up there pretty steady, but I haven't heard about them at all this week.
Okay, we're going to head down to 41.
The 41, there's been a handful of trout right along the power lines. And a guy even caught a Spanish mackerel the other day, just one. Mm-hmm. And he trolled back and forth for a little while because he got pretty excited, but he just got the one. And then there's also been some snook at night. All the snook have been caught off there that I've talked to several people. It's all been small stuff, but they're at least been in the rod.
We're at the north end of the bridge. If you're fishing off the seawall, you might have to park back and walk up. But off the seawall, there's so many pilings from the old boardwalk, it's actually collecting quite a few fish. Yeah, this boardwalk used to come around here and come underneath, and that boardwalk is actually where the boardwalk used to be. You can find some trout, snappers, other stuff, but even a few black drum, smaller ones, and some redfish all along those pilings there. The pilings are starting to hold bait, starting to hold fish, and that's something we've noticed in the last week.
I don't have much else for there.
Yeah, no boardwalk, but the pilings are there.
Anything
Right.
over on the other side, Lashley Seawall?
No, nothing. It's been quiet over there.
Okie
Either
doke.
not many people are fishing or there, or we're just not hearing
I
about
think
it.
it's because of the teeth of the wind biting right into that side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right in the face of the wind
And it's
there.
been
It's
low
too cold.
tide pushing that water out, so it's been mostly mud and sand.
West
Takes
Spring
us
Lake,
over to
Robert?
Spring Lake Park.
Where are we at?
West
Lake
Spring
Park.
Lake.
Oh, West Spring Lake. They're getting some snapper off the seawall right there and under the bridge. A couple of small sheepshead. The snook have been cooperating at night once the sun goes down. Last night the no-see-ums lit up really good, so if you're going there in the evening, take bug spray.
Yeah, you want something where it says DEET, DEET, 40% or more. 12% will work on mosquitoes. 40% works on no-see-ums.
I have a-
12%, they lick it.
I have a much better plan for that. I just take Robert with me.
All right.
Yeah, they all flock to him.
Yeah, exactly. But
It's
I
all
haven't
that
heard of
Mountain Dew.
I haven't heard of anything else up inside of there.
Keeps him sweet as sugar.
All right. Ooh.
The overall canal
Okay.
area? Oh,
Wow.
sorry. Were you still in
There's
the...
some nice trout right here on the Sunrise Waterway and in the mouth of the Countryman out here and all around this point. They've redone the point of this. You can drive your car right up, park, walk out to the point, and this morning they were catching trout all over the place. Throw a line out, catch trout, throw a line out, catch trout. It was crazy fishing there this morning. So that's... you come down Harbor Boulevard, go all the way out to the end, park your car, walk all the way to the end of the sand point, all the way out here.
I was trying to look at the sand point.
Here. All the way out here.
Right there.
And I'm just going to wait.
I'm getting there. I was looking to see him.
Yeah.
I was looking for a trout. But I see the sand point. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm emotionally supportive.
Anything else through the rest of the canals, Robert?
Yeah, a lot of little snook. A lot of guys fishing the dock lights at night, catching a lot of little snook and the occasional juvenile tarpon. And then some of the guys that have been trolling through the canals, because it's been windy this whole week. So with spring break in Charlotte County, we've had a lot of people still trying to get out, but they've mostly been canal bound. So it's a lot of little snapper, little snook. Some of the guys are trolling and catching some little jacks, little snook, a couple of tarpon. The Manchester waterway, a couple of guys hooked a couple of little tarpon, like 5 to 10 pounds. One customer caught, it was really hard to tell from his picture because of the angle of it, but it was either a permit or a pompano, but it was 23 inches. It was a good one.
In the canals.
Yeah, but the angle that he had it at, I couldn't see to line up its fins well enough to tell if it was a permit or not, but It was a chunk. And a couple of sandworm were caught way up the Manchester, all the way up there by the Triple Lakes area in the main canal off of Midway. Where
Yeah, you come up and you go up to Ackerman to the end of Midway and you go over where the lakes are.
Yeah. And then they're starting to see some black drum moving around a little bit. I haven't heard of anyone catching them, but a lot of people are starting to see some black drum, which tells you they're getting ready to get exciting.
Mm-hmm. Now, where Flamingo hits 776, you come out Edgewater, and I think this is Flamingo here that goes up. It's in here somewhere. The only way we can tell is by the curve on it. Why am I not seeing it? I think it's back. I don't know why I can't tell where Flamingo is today, but there's a traffic light on 776 for Flamingo. And is this probably Flamingo here? No. I don't know where Flamingo went, but
it's somewhere in here.
T Street is the next one past it. And if you find Edgewater on the other end, it's easier. Is that Edgewater right there?
Go find the baseball stadium.
Is this Edgewater?
No, this is Edgewater down here.
Okay. Then this would
that
be...
one's Flamingo.
This is Flamingo here. Okay. Flamingo goes up here, hits that. Now what we want to do is T Street. I think that's this right here.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a couple places to fish here. This canal is just got big snook in it right now. If you can find a place to fish off the bank here on T Street, you're going to have some very good fishing. Freshwater shiners are the best bait, but you can use rapalas, yozuris. But yeah, this is really had some good fish in it. I had a guy I was talking to. I told him about this. He went over there, found a place to fish. He didn't tell me where it was, but he said he did find a place to fish. Casting out there, he caught like 3 snook in an hour that were in that 30-inch range. So, very cool. Old canal. I have no idea what the name of it is, but cool place.
Okie doke.
Just a weird one for you.
The Elgbean Bridge.
A lot of snapper, couple of sheepshead, and quite a few small snook. I've heard of one legal one caught off of there, and that was a guy in a boat, and he was just trolling back and forth with rattle traps. He was talking to you 2 weeks ago and went in there and using the rattle traps and got a couple. But one legal one so far.
What I'm just about switching to at this point is the larger Yozuri crystal minnow, not the 3-inch one, but the like 5-inch one.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the F8, F8 or F9.
Yeah, I don't remember which. I'm getting old. But casting along this pilings rock the snook. I mean, just going to crush them.
Yeah.
But it's not the 3-inch Yozuri, but the 5-inch Yozuri. And if you can get that anywhere near that pilings right now, you're going to catch a lot of fish.
All right. Myakka River area from the bridge down to marker 8.
The northern entrance into Tippecanoe, or not Tippecanoe,
My
the cutoff, and also the first little creek going into Tippecanoe. My cousin and my uncle were fishing in there this past weekend, and they got into some redfish, and at the mouth of both places got into some trout. They got one trout up to 20 inches.
Wow.
Caught a bunch of little small guys.
Yeah.
They saw a few snook.
Trout up through here at just before you get into here and up in here, but it's real shallow. This is really skinny getting into these, but right before that, you've got 2-3 feet of water that you can fish. If you can get past it on the inside, it's deeper. On this edge, there's a little bit more water, and there's some great redfish back up in here.
There you go.
But yeah, I've fished in here many times at this time of year for redfish, and it's very secluded. Now that we're talking about it, there might be more boats there, but this first little notch right here, I find redfish there, and kind of just along this edge of I catch redfish right here and along this edge, and I haven't done that well. This is a little better. I haven't done much along here. I've caught a couple reds up in here, but usually I'm going to come in and fish this shoreline and this pocket. And if I don't catch them here, I just leave, because going back up in here. Now, if you get back up in, you find a little bit of water right now around this little island on some of these things. That's the possibility of 35, 38-inch snook. There's monster fish back up in here. Getting there is always the trouble. And then you got to make sure you get out. But it's not like they're there, but when they're there, oh my God, these are some big snook. And they like hiding way back here. That's why they're big. They know how to hide. But getting there, ooh, little
dicey. How about the South Gulf Cove canals, Robert?
I got nothing.
Okay. Then I won't write nothing. How about the West Wall?
West Wall's been really off because we've had such low tides with the wind. The wind has made it really difficult to get in there. So a couple of guys did manage to get down closer towards Muddy Bay and work their way up to the north just a little bit and got a couple of redfish and a couple of small snook. But it's been sandbars exposed all up and down there for the last 4 days. Last night was super low. I had 5 feet of mud coming off the seawall at like 10 o'clock last night when I walked outside. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
The inside of our boat got all moldy when the air conditioner quit. Mm-hmm. And I kept saying, okay, I'm going to go out clean the inside of the boat. It's going to take me a week or so to get the inside of the boat cleaned back up. But I've been looking. We still can't run the air conditioner. The tides are so low. We had that few days where we had plenty of water, and I could have turned the air conditioner on and started cleaning. And then went out there the next morning. There's no water. It's going to be sucking mud up through the damn air conditioner again.
Well,
so, yeah. Cape Hayes bar or anything out there?
Some Spanish mackerel and a couple of ladyfish, but it was so lumpy they couldn't stick around out there.
That's been the problem, because the Cape Hayes bar comes way out, almost a mile off this corner. And even though this looks like deep water, it's probably 2-3 foot deep. Getting up here, it's 18 inches to 6 inches, 3 inches, depending on the tide. I've run around so many times right here because I want to cut this corner, and I get right about here. And you got to stop, raise the motor up, idle out again. But this is deceptively shallow. But you got pockets on this side, pockets on this side, where those fish come along, and all of a sudden they're coming up against the wall. And it's not like they can stick their head up out of the water and look around and go, oh, there's that big tree on Cape Hayes. I got to go out and go around. They just run into all the dirt. So they pocket and they school up in these areas until they figure out how they can continue on. So you got trout, you got ladyfish, you got Spanish mackerel, all having that problem getting around Cape Hayes. And there's on and off really good fishing there right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to hope that the fish are there kind of stuck and stupid while you're there.
Yeah. The next couple days should get a lot better with all those reports. We've just had such low tides. It's been, and wind.
High wind and low tides.
Yeah, they go together.
But we got trout all through here on Turtle Bay and all through the middle. We've got some snook in front of the beach. Back up on this side, these bays over here, it's hard to get to them. It's really skinny, but there's some redfish in there. And back up in here, there's a couple creeks here. The mouths of those had redfish on them. You heard anything about
The
Turtle Bay or Bull Bay?
the deep trough over by the Eagle's Cut or Eagle's Nest.
Yep.
There's
That's right.
been a lot of juvenile tarpon from 5 pounds to like 50 pounds in that deeper
yeah.
trough.
It's coming up along
Along
this
with
wall,
redfish.
from right in there.
Several guys hooked some redfish, and the same guys hooked a couple tarpon, but they saw more than they hooked, obviously. But they hooked one that was 60 pounds, I guess. They said it was probably a little over 4 feet long. And then they're also seeing a few bull sharks cruising through there up to 5 feet. A lot of little guys, but a couple bigger ones.
Yeah, I'd almost guess they're lemons this time of year. I think the bulls would be further south, but maybe the lemons go south. I don't remember.
The lemons usually go south.
Okay, so it is bull sharks then. I knew one or the other kept going south.
Yeah, the lemons
But
usually
that's
like
what
to
I
show
got.
up.
That's why I got this guy for. I can just ask Robert and he'll tell me what the correct answer is.
No, the lemons usually do show up like at the end of June as they migrate up from down south in the Caribbean and on the Atlantic side.
All right, Bull Bay, anything going on?
Kind of the same thing. There's a mixed gamut of some redfish, some small snook, still a few lingering sheepshead around the shacks and a couple of the oyster patches. It's just been so low, just not too many people have been able to sneak in there.
Yeah, and getting to any of this backcountry has been next to impossible.
Yeah.
There are several guys running back in there, but they've been doing it for years. They know exactly where they're going, and if you're 2 foot one way left or right, you missed it, you're jumping the boat, you're going in the mud, that's where you're at. You got to really know where you're going or go exceptionally slow, especially on these lower tides.
So I was showing a guy how to get in here the other day, and we came in through the wide entrance, and then we came over here and looked in this pocket. And then I said, look, you can explore all of this stuff back in through here on your trolling motor, and I'll show you how to do that. So we get up into this area between these two islands, and it's really shallow in there. And everywhere we go, we keep running aground. And I said, okay, so since we're not going to get anywhere with this, let's just stop and look and see what we've got. And we're looking at schools of mullet that are out there. And I said, okay, schools of mullet probably means there might be some redfish hanging out with them. And then we start seeing the redfish. They're actually flashing orange in that shallow water. And we're looking at redfish that are staying just about 15, 20 feet out of casting range. And I said, okay, well, we'll go ahead and see what we can do. We'll throw out some cut baits, see if one of them wants to come up closer, and we'll throw some topwaters. And we ended up catching some trout on the topwaters. Couldn't get the redfish to show up. But when they were out there, they just were very intentionally staying just a little bit farther away than we could reach.
This is so shallow and so clear. You're going to be like here where his little hand is, and the redfish, say you can cast to here, the redfish will be that much further out. They know about how far they got to stay because you're throwing stuff at them and it's hitting the water and they just move a little bit past that.
Yep.
And they've learned enough to be wary of people, but not so you're not terrifying them. You're just going, okay, move over a little bit. I'm coming in. Where the trout are stupid. They're just coming right up. You get it hit right next to the boat. But the redfish just back off a little bit. And the trick to when you're in here on a super low tide day, trying to just barely make it through, find where these holes are, get them marked in your head or wherever you're going to mark them. Because being back here in this very shallow and then being able to throw into these holes, 8-foot rod, maybe a 2,000 size reel, even a 9-foot rod, big, long rod, not big, but long, and tiny reel, very light line, 6-10 pound braid, and you can just zing that extra 20 or 30 feet that's going to get you into those schools that are further away. But it helps if they're laying in a little deeper water. If they're down, let's see, my hand's over here. If they're down in a trough that's 6-8 inches deeper, they have a hard time seeing what you're doing because the land is between you and them. It blocks their view. So staying in the shallows, casting into those slightly deeper areas, not only the redfish aren't as wary, because if they've got dirt up to here, it blocks, hand goes that way. Everything's backwards. So they're looking here at eyesight, and if they're in the same water depth as you are, they just look and see you. But if they've got dirt up to here and they're looking, they see the dirt. They don't see you.
Yeah. And I told him if we were really out here to target redfish in a spot like this, then we would have brought more mullet that we could chop up and use to chum and try to get those fish a little stupider. But as it was, we're looking at places we're always on the run. So.
Really tight tennis shoes that strap good to your feet, and you can just walk up on them. Problem is, the water's cold, and if you put like chest waders on, you fall down, you get all that full of water. That is not good. Good pair of tennis shoes, heavy socks, pants, and just go out waiting for them, or shorts, whatever. Yeah. But you can just walk out towards them.
Water temp was 81 in there.
Yeah, that would be nice. You can make a nice walk, but you can't do it in flip-flops. You can't. You got to have something that stays on your foot. You're walking along this real nice sand, all of a sudden you get a big patch of muck, and you're down knee-deep in muck, and so you got to be able to get back up.
And having done it multiple times in tennis shoes, even that strap on really tight, let me recommend that you get yourself a pair of side zip wading booties, because
they don't come off.
the problem with the tennis shoes is the sole gets sucked off. So that's not good. You're still wearing your shoe. You just have that much cloth on the bottom to protect you from whatever's sharp down there. Not pretty.
Yeah, Gasper Sound.
That's pretty interesting throughout that whole area, from Three Sisters all the way up. They're getting trout, some redfish, snook, Spanish mackerel, assortment of, a couple of black-nosed sharks, couple of bonnethead sharks, and then as you get over to the Catfish Creek and Wooden Creek,
back up here.
The mullet are starting to move back into those spots a little bit heavier. So a couple guys have been hooking a couple of bigger snook, not legal, but in the mid-20s.
26, 25, 24.
Yeah. And along with a couple of redfish. One guy did catch a 22-inch trout out of there the other day. And his buddy caught a 19-inch sheepshead underneath the mangroves over there. So they're kind of getting a little mixed assortment throughout that whole area.
Well, it's time for an entertainment value. Okay, that was your entertainment value.
Cute.
Ta-da!
But I known he was going to do it. It would have made more sense.
Uh-huh. That's
well, they
the
say
random things that make it fun.
You got to be entertaining. I mean,
that whole area through there has been the most positive reports, and I think it's due to the fact that so many people are on spring break, and it's a little bit deeper water with close, shallow access, but not getting into the real skinny water. But I think it's pushing some of those fish out of those flats and creeks right to the edge. Same way with over along the trestle too.
Yeah.
It's been pretty impressive with all of it.
Can you, bring this down towards the middle? All right. Well, no. Okay. Look at this area right here for just a second. Been a few years since I've been in there, but this is Catfish Creek up in here and Catfish Point. So when we're talking about Catfish Creek, if you back out a little bit, Josh. All right, this is Gasper Marina here. Here's the Placida Trestle, the Causeway Bridge, Placida Trestle, mouth of Gasper Marina. And then as you come in here, Catfish Point, Catfish Creek. So this is one of those spots that you hear about all the time, but this is where it's at. It's hard to tell amongst all this, but this is where you get back into that.
And it's rather deceptively named. It's like if you have an island that you don't want anybody else to go to, you call it Rattlesnake Key.
Right.
So,
But you can see the water goes back up in here quite a ways. It's really hard to tell land from water, but it goes back up in there a long ways. Now, in the summertime, you can get way back up into here, but in the winter, this gets abnormally shallow. But there are fish back up in here. You've got some deeper spots, deeper holes. You can see there's little cuts going through everything. It's something you got to explore. I can't explain how to get in and out of all these places. But if you're going to go in there the first time, you're going to see massive amounts of water. It's water everywhere. Slow way down. Go as slow as that boat can go. Stand up. Look in the water, get a big hat, flying fisherman polarized sunglasses, and watch for sandbars, because you'll go through one spot, you've got 6 more inches or 4 more inches of water, and you can get through that, but you're not getting through over there, but you might get through over here. It's one of those things where you've really got to pay attention, going to Catfish Creek, and pay no attention to the guys going through there at 60 miles an hour. They do it a lot. They know where they're going, or they don't. And it's going to be really fun to watch. Either way. But
especially this time of year, it's more often the case.
Yeah, idle speed, because if you see somebody run across there, God bless them, they're going to be hours waiting for the tide to come up.
yeah.
So just be real careful, because you got lots of weird places with water and other places with no water.
And it is the worst thing you can do is to follow another boat around in these real shallow areas. Assuming they know what they're doing, and assuming that, you're making the assumption that your draft is equal to or less than theirs.
Right.
So,
and if your boat drafts 2 more inches of water than theirs, you're screwed.
yeah.
So
mistake.
idle.
Your phone is singing.
You can always get out if you idle.
All right, that brings us over to Placida.
Barry from Star Rods was calling me.
Really?
I haven't heard from him in 2 years.
I almost would have taken that
I
call.
talked to him about 2 months ago.
Okay.
So around the Placida trestle, the sheepshead are starting to move out. There's a lot of sheepshead still there, but the majority of them are smaller to just barely legal.
And I was talking to a guy this morning who was there yesterday. Mm-hmm. He was railing them 12 to 18 inches.
Really?
Just having a great time.
Okay.
I think what's going on is that you're absolutely right. Right now you're going to have days where it's just the smaller fish there, and the bigger ones are going out. Right outside of this pass, this is Gasper Pass. 3 miles out, you've got Novak and Tremblay Reef. A little further on, you got Jeff Steele Reef. I think they're going from the reefs and coming back up in and going back out. It's like the party's ending, but they're going out to the parking lot, then they're coming back to the party and going out to the parking lot, coming back. This is typical behavior for right at the end of the spawn, where, okay, coming in here and, they got together with some girl sheephead fish and they run out, and then that's over and they go back in to find another girl sheephead to run back out and do that again. I think that's what's going on.
Well, I can see that. There's still some Spanish mackerel over there. A couple of bonnet heads. A guy did hook a big tarpon over there. He hooked one that was about 100, 120 pounds, I guess. He said it was about 6 feet long. He got one jump in through the hook, but then it jumped right after it through the hook. So he saw it jump twice.
Was he by the bridge or in the pass?
He was actually over closer to the trestle. He was fishing for snook.
Okay.
And then over by the pass proper itself, there's been more Spanish mackerel over there and a couple of pompano.
Yeah. Thing is, when you get like a 1.3, 1.5 or higher tide, those fish are going through the shallows over on this side. As the tide drops down, they're hugging the south end, going for that real deep hole and the trough that gets them in and out. So if you've got a higher tide, they're more in the north end. If you got lower tides, they're more in the south end.
Guy said on, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. He said on Wednesday there was some people that must have been staying on Little Gasparilla, and they were probably 3/4 of the way out on that bar.
Walking out there.
And he said there was 2 little kids that couldn't have been 3 feet tall. And he said most of them, it looked like their ankles weren't even really getting wet.
Yep.
He said there was so much sand. He said it was the most sand he's seen. He was actually leaving the island. He was driving off over the bridge and saw them all walking out there. He said there was like 8 of them.
He's here driving his car and looking over here. And this is a lot of fun, this area. If you take the family out and you want to wade and do all that, you can find areas where you can get your boat up, anchor up, and just get out and walk this whole area because it's wave-driven sand. So it's really nice. It's packed. It's hard. Booger on your boat trying to get out. You know, you run into the boat. That's hard-packed sand. Great for family outings with the kids and, you know, go out there and have a barbecue and have a great time wading in the water and doing all that. It's
but kind of the opposite of that silt that you were talking about up on the Peace River where you can just drive through it. This, forget about it. If your prop's trying to go through an inch of that sand, it's not turning.
You're bending the prop. But hard-packed sand, really nice for family outings. If you've got relatives down and you just want to walk around the water and see, you know, the beautiful, what you came to Florida to see, blue-green water, white sands. That's amazing. And there won't be really anybody. You might have another family somewhere, but it's a huge area. So,
but there are a lot of stingrays in that area, so don't forget to do the stingray shuffle.
Yeah, just drag your feet along. And stingrays aren't vicious. If you go up, and I've bumped hundreds or more thousands with my toes. Just get out of the way, please. If you put your foot in the middle of their back and you step on them, that's pretty rude. And they will zap you to tell you, get off of me. So that's why you slide your feet, because then you just kick them and they swim off.
Yeah.
And
it'll
step on them, they get mad.
It'll give your heart rate a little bump every time you nudge one, but that's okay. He's just going to go away. Stepping on one, your heart rate doesn't go up, but your pain meter just shoots through the roof.
Yes.
Oh, your heart rate goes up.
Your heart rate will go up. Your pulse will go, your blood pressure, and you'll be like,
panic.
Ooh, this really hurts. But they're not aggressive, and if you just little nudge with your toe, and off they go.
And remember, if you get zapped by a stingray and you pee on it, then you've also been peed on in addition to having a stingray sting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It doesn't help at all.
It's a lot of fun.
Lemon Bay?
Trout.
Drying it off is the best way to get the pain to go down. But
heat, if you can do it.
Yeah, well, you got to get out of the water, dry off good.
Yeah.
But the venom is highly reactive with water, including urine. Yeah. So if you really want to have some fun with your buddy and he gets that stingray thing in there, just say, I'll help you. I'll pee on it. And then you get to peel over his leg. It's great. But
learning more about Frank all the time, aren't we?
It's fun.
Tell me about these trout and lemon.
It hurts more. It makes the pain more intense, and it's funny as heck.
Mostly just to the south of Stump Pass on the not mainland side.
Okay.
More the island. And then also I've had several reports from over towards the northern end of Ski Alley through that area and some of the little islands around there with them getting some trout. One guy did catch a couple of small redfish up underneath the bushes over there while drifting the flats looking for some trout. And then a couple other guys were further north up towards the Tom Adams Bridge getting some trout in that whole area and a couple of small snook. One of the cops that comes in the shop, it was him and his buddy were talking about it, and they've been getting some snook. They've seen some bigger snook but couldn't get them to chew, and that was... when were they on? They were in Monday, so it was either Saturday or Sunday that they were out fishing. So unfortunately, that report on the snook part is a week old.
Yeah. But
that's at least one of the better reports I've heard of some snook up in that area in quite a while.
We had a cop was in yesterday. We're talking, laughing, and it was funny because we were out in front of the store and. For some reason or another, people have decided they want to back into the parking places. Maybe you want to go to an empty parking lot and practice that a few times. You know, they want to be like cops. They pull up, then they back into the parking spot. They usually end up this way or that way, and it takes them 2, 3, 4 tries. when that same person can probably just drive in and you get to back up when you go out, But we were talking, everybody wants to be like a cop nowadays, and they're trying to back in, but most of them are not very good at it. And look out there, and there's a squad car, and it's nosed into the parking lot, just like most people. And I don't know what the obsession has turned into. Now, every once in a while I have to because my truck is big, and when I go to back in, I can't pull in, so I got to back into it.
Yeah.
But I know where the truck is, I know where the mirrors are, and I just back into the spot. But I got years and years of practice doing this. My best recommendation, if you're younger and you want to back into a parking spot, go to an empty lot where there's not any cars around, pull in and practice, pull out, back into another spot, pull out, back into a different spot, and get so you can do it in less than 4 tries. Then you can go when there's a busy parking lot and pull right in and back up. A little practice would go a long ways for some of these people. And they seem to end up on one side or the other or crooked. It's close enough.
Well, they do that pulling in forward too, Frank.
Yeah, but
I've seen them.
A little practice wouldn't hurt.
No. And I prefer to back in because it makes it easier to get out, because as I'm getting out, I can see what's in front of me. When I'm pulling in, I already know who else is moving their vehicles. When you're backing out, sometimes it's a little harder. So for me, it's kind of a ding prevention process. But it's also, I found it easier to back in with the truck. But you do have to practice it
ding, a little. Ding. You're saying, okay, ding prevention.
Fender bending is what I meant.
Let's think.
Ding.
Chuck Berry's one of his only really big hits was Ding-a-ling. So we'll go with Ding-a-ling. That's good.
Can you sing more of it?
Once I was swimming across Turtle Creek.
No.
Man, them snappers all around my
No,
feet.
that's not good.
I don't sing well. I entertain myself when I sing.
Anything out in the Gulf, Robert?
Huge Chuck Berry fan.
I have got
Father
no
of all
reports.
major rock.
You have no reports?
No
I have no
reports.
reports for this week.
Then I'll
It's
talk
been
about
too
Chuck
many.
Berry and my dingling.
Oh, geez.
We could talk about Chuck
Hurry on.
Norris.
Let's get to something else. The Venice Jetties and Venice Pier. You hear anything up there, Robert?
Chuck Norris passed away today.
Did Chuck... Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
This requires verification. Please hold.
Yeah, I'll double
Well,
check
it
that.
does require verification. I mean,
what I'm
Chuck
saying.
Norris is like the most real
Iconic.
badass.
Oh, it's real. He's dead.
89 or
86 years old.
86.
Oh, my God. That's sad.
It is. That's actually the first celebrity I've heard of that actually kind of upset me a little bit.
I mean, it's... Yeah, I mean, he was the real deal. Actors, you've got all these other ones that pretend like they're, all that, but he was the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's sad.
It is.
Do you know that Chuck Norris once counted to infinity? And then he did it again.
Yep. He doesn't, when he does push-ups, he doesn't go up. He just pushes the world away and back. The most bad. I mean, there's like lures, Chuck Norris. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and if you think about it, Chuck Norris, there's probably only one other person on the planet you could have some part of his name and the whole world would recognize it. Every country, Arabic, Oriental, Western, you name it. Go to an island in the middle of South Pacific and they know who Chuck Norris is.
Yeah,
He's just
definitely.
an amazing man. That's sad. That's the end of an iconic era.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's, wow. Sorry, I didn't mean for that to go like that, but
Hey,
Chuck Norris, really?
sometimes it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any reports from the Venice Jetties, Venice Pier area, Robert?
Yes. Yeah, the jetties, they were catching some sheepshead and some whiting. Most of the sheepshead have been smaller with an occasional bigger one. A couple of guys have been actually using their boats and sneaking and fishing over on the south side of the jetty, drifting along and getting some better sheepshead. And One guy, I guess, got arrested out there who was snorkeling and spearing right up against there. Somebody was saying something about the other day, yeah. He was with a Hawaiian sling and speared some sheepshead, I think they said he had a snook, and I forget what else it
Speared a
was.
snook.
Yeah.
Really kind of
they do it all
deserves
the
to go to
time.
jail for that.
Yeah, no, they said they were going through an arrest. They had him in handcuffs, but they were overhearing some of the conversation, what was going on.
But, I mean,
And it's right there where everybody goes through. It's not like you're being sneaky.
how stupid can you be? Snook has special rules, special fines. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be a brain dead dipstick.
Yep.
I mean, literally take the dipstick out, smack it on the motor for a while, put the dipstick back in, and that's how stupid that guy is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about, yes, instant karma, good karma, arrested, deserves it.
Yeah. Sharkies has a bunch of Spanish mackerel being caught off of it, too. That's the only thing I've got off of Sharkies.
I got to drive up there. I haven't been there in years, and I want to see what it's like after the storms.
Yeah.
How does that one survive? They keep rebuilding it?
Mm-hmm. No, the end was closed down on it for several months. The T always gets destroyed. The NT section always gets wrecked.
You know, but...
Even when they rebuilt it and they supposedly made it stronger, the next storm, gone.
Yeah. The thumbs up, Sarasota County. Way to rock. Admire you.
I think that's actually City of Venice.
City of Venice does
owns
it?
that.
Well,
So I think it's them that does
Even
that.
makes more sense because City of Venice is... They got some cool stuff in Venice. If you haven't been up there, there's nice boat ramps. You can, do the intercoastal. They've got... Venice got it together. They do a good job. I like going to Venice. Haven't been to Sharkies in years, but I've been through Venice.
Checking the passes. Punta Gorda, Robert?
Nothing.
Okay. How about Redfish Pass?
Nothing.
Okay. How about Captiva Pass?
Captiva Pass, this is from Sunday. So, no, I'm sorry, it was from Monday. The guy was out there Monday morning. He got some Spanish mackerel. He got a couple of trout just on the inside. He got one snook, several baby gag grouper, all through that whole area. He was fishing with shrimp and pompano jigs. He didn't catch any pompano, which is what he was trying to get. But he was throwing shrimp, pompano jigs, and paddle tails. He caught one of them on that, like the Little John looking one of Carl's,
yeah.
the one that Carl's making. So he was excited about that. That's why I kind of remember the conversation was that purple one. But he got, it was one of the mirror lures you had sold him a couple weeks ago.
Soft plastics or...
No, hard one.
Hard one, yeah.
The old school one, he said it was a sinker.
Yeah,
And he's been practicing with it a lot.
it's the TTR-11.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense with what it was. But he was saying that he was working it. He had a Spanish mackerel on it, a couple of trout on it. And I can't remember if one of the snook was on it or not, but he had a good time out there until about noon and then came in because the weather was supposed to break loose sometime that afternoon, which was 6 o'clock that night. But that's the only report I had from that spot.
Gotcha.
Well,
It just been too sketchy of weather, so I'm going to have to pick some of these are going to be one report wonders rather than a couple from that same spot because they are limited.
Yep. And before we go north up to Boca Grande Pass, I wanted to mention real briefly Blind Pass down here. So it shows you here on the satellite image that it's open. It's now closed because they did some beach renourishment up north of it, and there's a sandbar that's built
That was
all
just
the way
on the
across
news the
it.
other day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
now, somebody told me Milton Pass closed. I didn't think that was possible. So
No,
what they were
Milton
talking
Pass,
about
they're
was
talking about Blind Pass.
Blind Pass.
And they're
closed up.
confusing it with everything. They're confusing it with Midnight Pass in Sarasota and Milton Pass in Englewood. It's Blind Pass down here that's
Okay.
actually closed up.
Yeah, I saw something about that on the news the other night.
And this is a low bridge. So if you've got a bigger boat, you can't get in here anyway.
And
That
it's
bridge-
shallow water.
And even when you have a lot of water there, it's 3 feet. That's a lot of water for
kayakers
this.
have a hard time getting through that sometimes.
But coming up underneath this bridge it's for boats going out to the Gulf. It's never been a usable pass. It's always just access to these houses up here. But the unfortunate part is if you got a bigger boat, you got to go all the way around.
Yeah, but the big positive is it was moving water through there.
Yeah.
And now it's not. So, all right, bringing it up to Boca Grande Pass.
A lot of Spanish mackerel through there. It's been tough to fish it this whole week, basically. But Sunday, Monday, guys were catching Spanish mackerel. A few guys were seeing a couple tarpon in there. A couple mangrove snapper were being caught there. And then we'll talk about the land-based part after a little bit. But those are the main things going through there.
Can you blow this up so I see Turtle Bay? Okay. I was talking to a shrimper, and there's still a lot of shrimp over here. So the shrimp are still going out through the pass. They're going up Gasperilla and through here at night. But with the shrimp still over here, that means the tarpon, if they show up this week, which they're likely to, they're going to be eating on shrimp. That's going to be one of the better baits for them, because when there's thousands of shrimp leaving and they show up, that's what they're going to key in on. So if the tarpon do show up this week, the way they're likely to, shrimp. And you want them from about the width of your palm to that. So from there to there. If you've got them a little smaller, don't worry about it. They're going to be eating those too, because the shrimp that are migrating out are anywhere from about 3 inches to 6, 7 inches. So a lot of shrimp going through there right now, here and here every night. But
Like it.
Just happened to be talking to one of the shrimpers. So when you go, oh, I want crabs and I want this and I want that, not that time of year.
Well, and even if you're feeling saucy enough to go out there at night with some floodlights and a shrimp net,
dip
you can
nets.
go out there and dip up some shrimp for food if you want.
Yeah,
this
if
is
you're
the
going to do
The
it,
next month and a half is prime time.
if you're going to do it here by the oil docks, even out here by the phosphate docks, you get a lot of shrimp running past that. So don't anchor. Don't know what that's about. Probably 50 years of smoking, but
Could be.
there's not here do you anchor. If you're going to go shrimping, anchor out here by the phosphate dock, inside the phosphate dock, or over on this side. You want something that breaks the current. The current's too strong in here most nights to anchor. It's very dangerous. But here on the edges, those shrimp are coming from Turtle Bay, which is over this way. So, see, they're coming along here. They're going to come around here and come out. So you're going to do just as well off this end of the island as you will trying to be out here. You don't have to be in the current where it's dangerous. Stay over here because they're coming from here and going out. Okay?
Okay. Beaches, Robert?
The beaches. So right there at Boca Grande at the end by the lighthouse, still catching some sheepshead of assorted sizes. Right around that oil dock and the phosphate dock if you're from a boat. But right there off the rocks at the jetties, a few pompano, some whiting. They're starting to see and catch a couple of smaller snook out there along the shoreline. One guy got a really big redfish. It was like 31, I think his wife was saying. And then he saw a couple other redfish being caught out there that were a little bit smaller. And bonnetheads, a couple of bull sharks, all being caught right there off of Boca Grande.
Yeah.
And that was from last weekend to basically this morning was when she was in giving me the report. So
This area here is state park. This is park all down here. Easiest way to tell, the most butt ugly condos you've ever seen in your life are right here. They're ugly.
the new
Ugliest,
ones there, huh?
yeah, the ugliest condos you're ever going to see in your life right there. That's why they're so exclusive. No one else would pay money for anything that ugly. But this area here is absolutely accessible by the public.
Well, this
And
area
only-
over here,
That is not.
yeah, but this area here is now blocked off. You can walk down along the sand right there at the surf line, but not up here.
Okay. Wonder what they're
So-
doing up there.
No,
They
they built
blocked it off.
condos there.
Yeah,
Where the oil
these
tanks
condos
used to
right
be?
here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Those oil tanks are long gone, and
That's-
it's all condos that were
that's
just built in the last
Hilltide
2.
Estates, and Hilltide Estates has its own private beach area there.
So they've made all this private again.
Yeah,
They turned the oil dock into a fishing pier for them.
Wow.
yeah.
And you got to show them the parking lot, Josh, because where the lighthouse at, the back parking lot is still closed. You can only
You got to
park
park
in the
up here.
front section.
You got to park up here.
Yeah.
But
That's still
I made a
open.
mistake because this used to be all public land, and now this whole section is private. So
Yep.
Yep.
Hilltide Estates. Listen, you had your chance to buy a lot in there for only like $3 million. So if you
Yeah.
didn't, then you lose, kid.
I
Sorry.
should have done that. I mean,
Yeah,
I might
really.
have that much with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dig through your couch cushions, see what you got in there. So, any place else to fish the beach, Robert?
The only other positive spot that I heard about was right up there by Melton Pass at Stump Pass Park. It's been so windy that in my couple regulars for Blind Pass and some of the other beaches just didn't give me much. But up there at Melton Pass, they got some Spanish mackerel, some whiting, a couple of jacks, one short flounder, a couple of small sheepshead, and a couple of legal-sized sheepshead. All just fishing right there along the beach up to the pass.
Okay.
They said on what the heck was that? That was he was in yesterday, and I want to say they were out there on Tuesday, and all of that wind. And he said the pass was almost wadeable across the whole thing
Yeah.
because it was so low.
Yeah.
And he saw a bunch of little schools of bait fish coming through. It wasn't like white bait cast nettable size. He said it looked like it was about 1.5 inches long, but it was clouds of it where you could see like the little shadows, and that's what brought in the Spanish mackerel and the little jacks.
Cool.
All right. Moving on down to Matt Lache area.
They're still getting sheepshead off of Matt Lache. Mixed reports from bigger to smaller, along with a handful of trout and some been a couple big ladyfish being caught there too with those trout. And that's guys just fishing right off the bridge
Right off the
itself.
bridge.
Yeah. And then one guy was kayak fishing. He put in right there by D&D and launched his kayak, and he got a whole bunch of trout just fishing right within half a mile of all of it. And he was strictly throwing paddle tails and mirror lure miradines because he was looking for,
Trout love those
I forget what
Meridians.
color. He ended up buying 2 of them
Yeah.
because he found the right color.
And you've got scattering of redfish up here. Talked to a couple guys more or less north by the Indian Fields. And what's the other one up there?
Smokehouse Bay.
Smokehouse Bay and Indian Fields. There's scattering of redfish now. Problem is, like we've been talking about with the west side, the redfish were moving in. We had water. We had all that. Then the temperature dropped and the water left. That northwest wind is just blowing all the water out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing is some of my reports are literally from last weekend before that storm came through.
Well, but hey,
So-
it's spring now. All that stuff's going to change, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And if you're a doctor out there listening, I've got the choice between where they cut the skin cancer out or they do the radiation. Let me know which way I should go. They're asking me like I would know. I said, you're the doctor. You're supposed to tell me do this or do that. And they're saying, well, do you want us to cut it out or you want to do the radiation or whatever? I'm like, how the hell would I know? I'm in a bait shop.
I got a pocket knife, Frank. We can resolve this quick.
Yeah. I'm
think-
about ready to just go down and get a can of CO2, maybe a fire extinguisher, and stick it on there.
Right?
It's kind of ironic that radiation caused it, but they use radiation to kill it.
Yeah.
All right. Pine
anyway.
Island Sound, Rat and Cat, Mondongo Patricio, places like that.
Before all this wind came through, they were getting a lot of trout and Spanish mackerel throughout the whole area from Patricio south to below Captiva Rocks. And then a few guys were getting into some redfish and starting to see more and more snook moving out around the bushes. They aren't catching anything of any size, but they're seeing a lot more of them moving around out there.
Okay. Yeah, I was hearing things of scattered redfish starting to move in, a little better snook fishing, and then that cold weather and the wind
Right.
hit, and the water level dropped by 12, 15 inches over here, and there's only 2 feet on the average. I mean, the water went down to nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I've been hearing. All those reports were from last weekend.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
why.
been too choppy,
Just
too
getting
cloudy.
ready to go talk about, oh, we got school redfish here, we've got some snook here and everything, and then the water just left.
Yeah. Okay. Jug Creek Shoal, Bokeelia.
We got nothing for there. That's been right in the teeth of the wind for everything right there.
Understood. All right. Then we'll move on over to the east side and take a look at Burnt Store and Two Pines.
Lots of sandbars.
A lot of sand over there. You want to do a playhouse?
Yeah.
Right here's your bet.
Yeah, I have not heard of anything right there because it's just been nothing but sand.
Yep.
You know,
Makes it hard.
one guy was very disappointed because he actually took his kayak and drug it through the mangroves, and he ended up having to go on the outside of the bar, literally.
And he had to drag it all the way across the flats because there's no.
He said there just wasn't enough water
If
for
you go
anything.
down further, Josh, let's see, it's what, right off of here where the wading flats are?
Yeah.
Is that it?
So,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. So you go up,
Right on in.
and this is what we call the wading flats here. Can you go a little? No, the other way. Yeah. Pull it down just a little bit. So this area here is what we call the wading flats. You can park out here and come on up in here, access it a couple different ways. But when you have water here, the fishing is usually pretty darn good. Most boats can't traverse this because it's probably a foot to 18 inches most of the time. Get a higher tide, you might get 2.5 feet there. But it ranges from inches to a couple of feet. So you got a lot of people wade this area, parking out here and walking back. But it's a hell of a walk, and especially dragging a kayak. And then to get to where the water's supposed to be and then have to go another out here.
He wasn't happy.
Oh, that's it.
I'll bet.
That's pouring salt right on the wound.
Yeah.
The good news is he's like 20 years old, so but it's
So no
just-
big deal.
But still, he said it was a
I would
drag.
have 2 heart attacks by the time I got here. My back would have blown out by the time I got here. I would have had a heart attack here and a heart attack here. And then I got to the water and there was no water there. That would have been it. I would have just
We would have just put your
flatlined.
gravestone right there
I just
on the side of the.
flatlined right there. I was like, you know.
Stick the kayak up in the air and then the paddles across it like a big cross. I'm just buried right here. Done.
Yeah, I died. I quit.
The fun thing about this
God
wading
hates me.
flat,
I'm not going to go out there.
the really fun thing about this wading flat, like you say, if you try to get up there in a boat, everything's a foot deep.
Right.
But if you wade it, I guarantee you're going to end up chest deep at some point out there.
Yeah.
It's just
You'll
how
go
it
into a
works.
little pocket or muck or something. But
And all of a
it's
sudden you're
actually-
up to your nipples.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice place to wade.
Oh, it's beautiful.
If you're a jogger or hiker as well as a fisherman, you're probably going to make this trek. But if you're like me and you sit on the porch with coffee and nicotine and a blanket wrapped in a chair, don't attempt it.
Yeah, but this is the way to go. You know, there's a nice parking lot right here where you can actually park your vehicle, and you're dry foot the whole way over to
Until you
the
get
water.
to there, until you get to here, until you get to this section. If there's been any rain, this is all mud.
Well, yeah, it does get a little muddy. But
Yeah,
if you go through the
you're
other
dry.
if you go through the other area, which is down here,
Yeah.
and you can park down here, as soon as you get out here, you're guaranteed, because you have to go through these mangrove areas.
Right.
You're gonna have to walk through some very muddy water.
Very
no matter
nasty.
what the conditions have been, you're gonna end up walking through muddy water, and it's fine if you walk your way out there and then you get out there and you rinse yourself off, and that's a-okay. But when you go to come back, you end up going through the same thing, and your feet are all covered in mud up to your kneecaps and maybe a little higher, and now you got to get in your truck. So if I do this, which I don't do it very often anymore, but this is where I go to right here.
It's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
But it is something you can do. We have it marked on fishandfranks.com under weighted fishing spots.
All right, so East Side Keys, Pirate Harbor.
I've got nothing for over there.
Okay.
It's just been too shallow.
There's a lot of trout out in front of Alligator Creek. This area here, we get a lot of fish coming along the sandbars, and they run up against this sandbar where it makes the left, and it kind of discombobulates them. They end up spending a lot more time here just looking for, I don't know, getting lost. But out in front of the mouth of Alligator Creek, up to the bar here and back down here so this whole section right here has just been holding a lot of trout. There's also mixed other species of schooling fish, but you don't even have to go inside Alligator Creek. We're actually seeing more of them out here by the mouth. And I've had like 2-3 guys tell me, they were going to go into Alligator Creek, and they never even got in the creek, and they were catching all these fish.
Yeah, and that's also one of the areas where they've been catching some of those gigantor ladyfish.
Yeah.
The 2-foot plus ones, the ones that will pull drag if you lighten it up just a little bit and jump and do all the things.
Yeah. So you've got actually some pretty cool fishing. And that's from about a quarter mile out from the sandbar. And it kind of goes around a little bit out by Mangrove Point up there on the way over to there. But if you go back and let me see Mangrove Point just for a minute and just kind of zoom out.
You mean Whorehouse Point?
Yeah, right here. The water coming off of here is kind of looping through here. And
okay, have you had any reports down in this area?
This was
Robert?
the guy we did the Northport custom drapes. Custom drapes and shutters. He's supposed to come to the house and finish putting up the blinds.
He's probably saying he has time right now.
He said he's going to be there Monday. Let's call him back. But
Inside the creek itself, I've heard of some jacks, and almost to the what's the restaurant up there? Riviera Oyster Bar. On the right hand side, they've been getting a couple snook and redfish that must have pushed out of those creeks because they were fishing right in the channel proper itself and caught a couple there.
Okay.
All sand and mud all the way up, but they said they were within the sight of the Riviera Oyster Bar and got some snook and redfish. Only one of the redfish was in the slot size; the rest were all undersized.
he's got a pretty good internet guy because all of a sudden there it is popped up, Riviera Bar and Grill. I was like, really? Okay. So it's not the Riviera Oyster Bar anymore. It's the Riviera Bar and Grill. But yeah, look at that right there. Who's ever they got on their marketing thing, they've already made it to Google.
Wow, I can't see any of it, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
interesting.
teeny itty bitty type anyway. So
No, it's in, but I just happened to look and I went, what the heck? Oh, Riviera Bar and Grill. I was like,
okay.
oh, it's not the Oyster Bar anymore.
Ponce de Leon Park. Anything up there?
A lot of small snapper. A couple guys are seeing some black drum coming through, but just been hearing about the small snapper mostly the last couple days. Everybody's been trying to get in there and fish it. They say it's been packed. It's spring break week for Charlotte County, so
Yeah. You've got
and with the
fishing
wind.
piers here. If you don't mind getting your feet wet, there's some great wade fishing here. You can park your car along this edge. You got the fishing pier down here. But what you're going to do is go out about 10 feet away from shore and walk down to get to this. This is the main canal where boats go in and out. And when they dredge this to keep the depth, because it's part of Punta Gorda's homeowners association thing, they got PGI, they dredge, but they take the dirt and put it on this side, the park side of that. They don't dump the spoils here, they dump it up here. So this is very hard packed sand all the way along this. And it's usually about ankle to knee deep. It's not very deep at all. As you get way out here, you'll get up to about mid-thigh. So you've got plenty of area. If it's a nice warm day, grab a lawn chair, go out here, sit, cast out in the channel, have a good time. It's really nice. And if it's bright and sunny and warm, what more do you want? You're sitting here on the wade out, you put a lawn chair, just make it a taller one. If you make it a shorter one, you don't have to go to the bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
But if you cast right along this channel, and there's trout and ladyfish and small sheephead and all kinds of other fish. But if the pier's all blocked and you don't mind getting your feet wet, just walk out and go along. This is hard pack. It's like a sidewalk.
How about the PGI canals at large, Robert?
A lot of snook, a whole lot of little snook, but there's been some, because of all the spring breakers coming down and our local kids they're fishing all those canals both at night and during the day, and hearing of a lot of little peanut snook. People are seeing a few bigger snook. One guy was fly fishing back there the other day on some of the lights and got into 2 little juvenile tarpon that he actually got to land 2 of them. And he said it was really strange because this light had like 5 or 6 tarpon on it and 1 snook. Go to this light, it had 15 snook with 1 tarpon on it. And then the next light would just be a bunch of little peanut snook. He said it was random how
The snook and tarpon mixed. Or
Yeah.
Mixed.
yeah, it's a little strange, but he said it was fun.
The best tarpon fly, we sell these pompano jigs. They're banana jigs, silly jigs, whatever they are. But they have teasers that we sell. And they're little tiny teasers, only like an inch long. And it's like $1 or $2 a piece. But the silver, the white, even the chartreuse green, great little tarpon flies. And the hook's strong enough to land those tarpon. Mm-hmm. And they're cheap, they're easy, tie it on, flip it out there, and the tarpon go nuts on them. You don't have to tie up anything crazy or shrimps or, whatever other patterns you use. I forget the name of all the different patterns, but a little teaser from the pompano jigs. Excellent for those tarpon in the canal, as fly goes.
Right. They're also starting to see a lot of black drum moving around through the canals. I haven't heard of anyone hooking them, but I had a guy show me a video yesterday. He's wondering what these fish were, so we sold him a couple of frozen blue crabs, and distinctly black drum. There was like 5 of them in the video that you could see cruising around by his dock.
Very cool.
A couple of guys are seeing some bigger sheepshead, not catching many of them, but they're definitely seeing them. So good mixed variety of stuff. I just wouldn't say it's incredible, but like you said earlier, good.
That's good.
Okay.
20-foot hole, I got no reports. From
Too
out there.
windy. Great day if you want to go sail a boat this past week out there.
How about Alligator Creek Reef?
Same thing, just too windy for anyone to go on it.
Too windy.
But the wind's backing off. Things are going to get
This
better.
weekend's supposed to be spectacular. Tomorrow's supposed to be really nice. It's, I think, like 5 to 10 mile an hour winds, I think, for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, that's what they say. But at least it's going to be sunny, and it's not going to be blowing 30 to 40.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
How about the baitfish reports?
Got nothing. Guys are going out there and getting beat up, but I don't know where they're getting it at.
A little bit around marker 2, but it's so hard because you've got the one piling sticking up out of the water, and then underwater there's a piling that's laid down. There's, I think, an old shopping cart. There's a bunch of batteries the Coast Guard dropped in the water there when they were changing batteries over the years. And there's a sailboat that's laid over underwater there that's literally covered in cast nets. And
Nice.
yeah, one of the guys went down there and it's literally just covered with cast nets. But not bad. There's a little bit of bait around there.
Yeah.
But
We heard anything
Job
about freshwater
security for us
action?
with cast net sales.
yeah, it's getting, what he said, it was so covered up with cast nets, he don't even know if any more can get stuck. Steve was over there, and if your cast net gets stuck, make sure your line's not angled. If you see your cast net getting stuck there around marker 2, get straight over your cast net so that you can pick straight up. If you got an angle going on, you're never getting your cast net back. But if you get your boat over, God, this sucks. So you're pulling straight up, more than likely you'll get your cast net back. But any angle to the rope, no way. I think there's so many cast nets that have been hung, and now it lays on there and gets a little hung up. And if you're pulling from the side, you add another net to the pile. But if you pull straight up, the things are kind of sliding along it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Anything freshwater, Robert?
The bass are on bed, and even in some areas coming off a bed. I was talking to a kid yesterday. He's been fishing all over in the Northport canals off of Price and Atwater area, and even going up towards Venice. And he's throwing nothing but worms, frogs, and he bought 2 of those that I don't even know what the name of them is. That rubber band ball with the tentacles sticking out of it. The Yamamoto.
It looks like a sci-fi thing. It's literally the size of a marble, and every direction it's just got little tentacles that come out. I don't know.
He bought one of the new ones, the one that looks like a centipede with the same hairs. It's like the worm with all the same hairs coming out of it. He bought one of those yesterday. But I asked him.
Go ahead.
And he was saying that that's been his best luck was the artificials, but his buddy's been catching some good ones on shiners.
Yeah, I've sold a couple of those Berkeley glide baits or whatever they are.
Yeah.
The big twitch glide baits. A couple of the chartreuse and white original rapalas the guy wanted for bass fishing. Trying to think of what else. Some of the smaller spinner baits.
Okay.
He was asked specifically for the smaller one. He said, "You're going to need the small size ones," and because luckily we're out of the big ones.
Right.
I think that's why it stuck in my head, because he actually wanted what we had left, not what we were out of.
Had a guy buy one of those Yozuri poppers for going back in there because he caught a couple bass and a couple tilapia. He said the tilapia are getting real aggressive in his canal. He lives off of Hillsboro.
Yeah.
And he said he's been getting a couple, like 3 to 4 pound tilapia hitting his lures at night and right at sunset.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Nothing on bluegill, nothing on crappie. They're still supposedly catching some good crappie over at Lake Placid and, is it June?
Yeah,
Lake
June on the water.
Yeah, like June.
June and winter.
June and winter, that's what it is.
Walk in water, June and winter.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Lake June. How's that? That's what I heard. So he caught several. They caught their limit, and his biggest one was 15 and a half inches. Only 3 of the fish had eggs in them. So that was an interesting report from over there. He didn't say anything about bass fishing. He was just strictly crappie fishing.
There's still beds around, so some of the bass are already on the beds. Some are just getting ready to go to the beds. So it's transitional time. Do we order a bunch of lizards?
We've got quite a few on order, yeah.
Okay,
we keep getting back ordered on them, on the Berkeley one and the, what's that other?
Yamamoto?
Mm-mm.
Bass Assassin?
Nope. The, I can't remember the company. The one that had the whole mixed variety of stuff. They got the weird gasoline smelling scent stuff.
Okay.
Bait fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that company. I can't remember the name of the soft plastic, but no.
Yeah, what happens is, very briefly, you're going to want to start throwing lizards. Now, you rig them up Texas rig. I put a bullet weight on. I don't tie it into place. I tie my line to the hook, and then I'm using a plastic lizard, long tail, ribbon type tail on it, and hook that hook right through the front, because you want the lizard to be nose down. And I want the weight sliding in front of it. And what I'm doing is I'm just going along like this, just tapping the rod to get it to come to me a little bit, so that the lizard just keeps walking forward like this, tail up, nose down. Lizards eat bass eggs. Now, the reason a lot of people don't catch fish on them is they get all excited. You'll be pulling along and it'll get into the bed and the bass will come up and smack it. Now, they're not trying to eat it. They just hit it, and you'll feel that hit, and you want to set the hook. And if you do, just let it fall back into place, because he hit it and you jerked it and everything. Just let it fall right back down if you don't feel the weight of the fish. And stop your hook set as quick as possible. Let it fall back, because that's going to fall back down nose first. And the bass thinks it's going to go back and eat its eggs. So that lizard's trying to get in there to eat the bass eggs. So what you want to do is, if you miss that hit, which you will, because they're not going to bite it, they're just striking it to stun it. So just let it go back to the bottom and let it sit there. What's going to happen is the bass is back there and he's looking at it, he's turning his head and he's looking at it and he's going, okay. and he flares up by it, goes back and forth, and then he's going to go pick it up in his mouth and start to haul it off away. And you're not going to really feel much of a strike, but you're going to see your lines start to move. That's when you set the hook. That's when you'll get them, and you bring them in. But it's just a little different. It's not like worm fishing where they're trying to eat it, they're grabbing it to eat it. They want to stun it or kill it. Then they back off and watch it for a while, and then they just want to move it out of their nest. They're not trying to feed on it. So it's a little different setup. And that's happening now.
Right now.
Right now.
Literally this minute, right now,
This
as we're
minute,
talking.
There
we
is
could
a
be out
bass
there.
smacking it. Another bass has got it in his mouth, picking it up, moving it away. All over the state. This is happening.
Yeah. And of course, when we say lizards, we're talking about aquatic animals that resemble lizards, amphibians, which we don't really have here. We have amphiumas that have 2 legs, but not ones that have 4. They're more eel-like. But it doesn't matter, because what you're doing is you're hijacking the
I'm glad you
basses.
said that.
You're-
Because it mattered to me, Josh.
It didn't.
It did. It really
Didn't at all.
mattered to me.
The point is
How can you tell me that doesn't matter?
you're hijacking that bass's sense of responsibility to protect its spawn. And that's what you're doing. It's a dirty, dirty trick to
I don't
play
know.
on a fish.
I
but
don't even know if
we're kind
my
of in that
emotional
business,
support
aren't we?
real. I'm going to have to go find a safe spot now. Do I have a safe place here? But I want a gun when I go to my safe place.
I know a pretty good safe place. We'll go find a safe place for him. We'll play the music first, then we'll find a safe place. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Playing the music. Fishin' Frank, owner of Fishin' Frank's Bait and Tackle. Here, Robert, probably the smartest person I've known, and Captain Josh Olive over there on the other end of the spectrum, which means he's at the other end of the table. Not that he's not smart. He's just over there.
It means whatever you think it means.
Thefishcoach.net is where you find Josh, and he goes out, teaches where to catch fish, how to catch fish, and does all that, or teaches classes. He's got all that stuff going on. This is the Quantum Cabo reel. That's Lou's reels. That's a Reaper rod. That's a DOA lure. This is an AFW rig. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Sleep tight,
Bye.
we gotta go. We'll see y'all real soon for the next show. Till then, catch 'em up. Tight lines, everyone. Fishin' Frank's Fishing Club, now our job is done.